John, have I told you I'm addicted to Carwell's auctions?
You might have mentioned it, yeah.
Well, they're online 6 days a week. They're getting 20,000 fresh vehicles in every month. It's actually one of my best sources of quality stock. Listings have got plenty of photos, service history, and background checks for peace of mind. And you can pay sellers in a click with Carwell Wallet. They even transport your car with built in protection of up to £25,000.
Well, that's more than you will ever need.
Exactly, John. So, dealers, if you're not on CarWow, you really should get in on the auction. See what I've done, John?
Oh, God.
Anyway, to find out more, sign up for free at carwow.co.uk/partners/auctions.
Welcome back to the Car Dealer Podcast, where we pick our favourite stories of the week and ask an industry guest to choose which were the best. I'm John Ray, and joining me this week, it's the man with more Jimneys than your average Suzuki dealer, James Packett.
Not true, John, actually, because two of them disappeared this week. Not because I sold them, but because I couldn't get them IVA tested and I had to call on somebody to help me out. So they've been sent off on a trailer alongside loads of American cars to a very friendly dealer in Norfolk, of all places, run by Alan Partridge, who is going to sort them all out for me.
Right, fair enough. So it's an interesting, some interesting learnings that we've had from this Japanese import thing. You think, you buy the car in Japan, you put it on a boat, turns up in Southampton, which is, 15 miles down the road. Perfect. And then with your Volvo, you have to drive it to Essex to have a man make it a UK Volvo.
It's true.
And with your Jimneys, you have to send them to the most easterly point in the UK.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's all a walk in the park, this import lark, John. Now, Joe and I had a chat about it this week, actually, and sort of talks about would we do it again. And I think the time and effort and just brain capacity it's taken to get these cars sorted, if we'd spent that time and effort on just normal cars, we probably would have made more money, I think, in the long run. So, although it's been good fun, and the cars are great. Well, I haven't actually sold them yet, but yeah, the cars look great. I don't know whether we'd do it again.
I think you're just doing it wrong, James. But anyway, what else is new?
Well, I have got some stories to tell you. Can I have a bit of a moan, please, John?
Oh, okay.
I'm going to moan anyway. So we've been dealing with a company called Love Car Loans, which is like a broker that calls you up. It's like these Zutos and car finance 24/7. They call you up and say, we've got a customer for you on one of your cars. You're like, okay, cool. You never speak to the customer. They just say, we've got a customer for you. They want to buy your Nissan Qashqai. You say, great, that's fine. Send over the details. And then they set this finance deal up. If it all goes smoothly, they then send you the customer's details, send you the money, and the car over. This Nissan Qashqai, the first deal that we did was with a local lady. They did all of the finance documents. They sent it across to the lady. She signed all of the documents. Then they realised they put the wrong reg on the documents. So they went back to her and said, oh, we're really sorry, we made a mistake here. We put the wrong reg. We need to go back to the finance company and send you new documents. And then they tried to do that, and unfortunately, they couldn't get a credit because she had a finance marker on her credit record.
Great.
So that went well. So then, funnily enough, I had another phone call from them this week, weirdly on exactly the same car. Oh, Love Car Loans again. We've got a customer for you on your Qashqai. Oh, have you now? Was sort of my answer. Yes, she's from the Isle of Wight. She wants to come and pick it up. She's ready. She's going to sign all the documents. And I was thinking, this isn't going to happen. Did all of the details. I walked into the dealership. This was on a Tuesday. I walked into the dealership on Wednesday, sat there waiting, was the customer. She went, hi, I've come to pick up my Nissan Qashqai. I'm like, are you? We hadn't actually been told you've got finance yet. Oh, I've been told by the finance company it's all fine. I've got the boat across from the Isle of Wight. I've paid £100 on the ferry and I've booked my ferry back. I've come here to get the car. I'm like, car's not ready. It's still in prep, which is what we told the finance company. So you can imagine she was a little bit angry. I sort of pacified her with a bottle of wine that I had on the shelf. I'm really sorry. Have this bottle of wine as a sorry for the crap finance company. And then I had an email from them yesterday, finance company, saying she's decided she doesn't want the car now. She's going to go and buy somewhere else. I mean,
Goodness sake.
what a way to do business. Yeah, so that has been incredibly frustrating. And the BMW 3 Series that I also sold to this kind of white a couple of weeks ago, brought back, fixed, spent even more, many hundreds of pounds on fixing it. We sold again for exactly the same price, had it delivered to the guy. Guess what, John? It broke again.
No.
Yeah. So I said to this guy, look, we've got no money left in this car whatsoever. I can send a driver down to pick it up and give you all of your money back. That's absolutely fine. But all I'm going to do when I bring it back is sell it for spares or repairs. So do you want it on a spares or repairs basis? And I'll give you half your money back. He said, that's very kind of you. Yes, please. I said, and that was sort of kind of deal slightly saved, but we still lost a huge amount of money. So there's been a lot of that in the last couple of weeks. It's been incredibly stressful.
So no more 3 Series for you.
No more 3 Series for me. No, but I'm just going to tell you one last thing. We've put in place now the new AI functionality from Impel. That we've got the chatbot on the front of the website. I mean, that's doing it service. It's slightly better than the chatbot, but we've now plugged in all of our leads into this AI system. So Impel offers one called Sales AI, and the leads from motors, car gurus, Google Ads, our website now are funneled into AI before us. So, and what you can do is you can log in and watch AI have the conversation back and forth with the customer that you would do, and save you a lot of time. And at the end of it, it fires out an email saying the customer has booked an appointment, or the customer no longer wants the Nissan Qashqai, or the customer would like a phone call or a video call from you. It's really very clever and has saved us a lot of time. So yeah,
has it improved slightly? Because when we first gave it a go, the first day it was implemented, it didn't seem to be very clever. I asked it quite a few questions about a Skoda Yeti, and the only thing it knew is that it was a Japanese import, which it wasn't.
John, you were confusing the poor AI in that situation.
I did say to it, how many owners has it had? And it said, I don't know. Someone will get back in touch with that information for you. And James, you never got back in touch with that information for me, so I bought the Yeti.
That's because you were sat next to me.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But yes, I mean, some of it is a little bit needs a little bit of tweaking, but it has got better, and we have sold a car off the back of it because what it does, and this is where I'm not very good, it chases up leads again the following day. Sometimes you fire a reply back, and you think, well, if that customer's interested, they're going to come straight back to you. But you sort of forget people have got busy lives. AI is a little bit more persistent, and it went back to a customer. I think it actually was the BMW. Went back to him the day after. He was in a labour ward waiting for his baby to be born. So obviously was distracted and just looking at cars. And the next day went, oh no, I have got some time and I do want to book an appointment. Called him up, sold him the car. So in that respect, I like the persistency of it.
Okay, interesting. We'll see how you get on.
Yeah,
well, shall I introduce our guest? Because you've talked for 7 minutes now, James.
Sorry.
It's a new record. So joining us this week is Theo Cook from used car dealer Bowen's Garage. Theo, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you, Theo. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Tell those people then listening a little bit about your business.
We have a site in Ross-on-Wye and a site in Hereford. We carry about 40 very low mileage used cars, ranging from probably 6 to about 15 grand. And we've also got a 5-bay MOT and service workshop that's for us and obviously for retail work as well. So there's 10 of us here all together. So yeah, it's quite a busy little business. We've been going for the garage, the workshop side of the business has been here since 1970 something. But we've owned it. So myself and my dad have owned it for the last 12 years. So since I couldn't grow a beard at the time we started, but I'm sort of working on it now.
Oh, it's quite cultivated now. You've done a good job. So tell us a little bit then how you got into the trade. Then you mentioned there that your dad was into it. Was it a case of you were always going to do this?
No, not at all. Dad was in trade from the 80s, but various different roles as salesman, business manager, worked for Inchcape for quite a long time, and then came out of the trade and was running a shop with my mum, which they had in Hereford for 25 years, doing menswear. And I came out of college and didn't really know what I wanted to do. Well, I did know what I wanted to do, but I wasn't good enough. I wanted to be a golfer, but I never quite made it. So they said, you best get a job. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I went to uni for 8 weeks, bailed out, hated it. And Dad was sort of getting towards his late 40s. And he was like, well, do you want to try selling a couple of cars? So as most people started, we put a couple of cars on the driveway. And then the driveway wasn't big enough. And then my girlfriend's driveway wasn't big enough. And my grandparents, and it went on from there. And then this place cropped up at the end of 2012. It took quite a long time because we were buying it as a going concern. It was just a workshop at the time, so they'd never done sales or anything like that. So it took quite a long time to get the purchase of that through. We borrowed a substantial amount of money at the time to facilitate it, and just went for it. And we turned where I'm sat now was just sort of wasteland really, and we turned it into a pitch. Got some cars and went from there, and then we opened another site in Hereford, which is where we both live, about 4.5 years ago now. So yeah.
You've sort of got the holy grail there of a workshop attached to car sales. I really would love that. I take it that takes away some headaches, does it? Or am I dreaming?
I always say this. I genuinely don't know how people run a car sales business without a workshop on site. It must be absolutely a nightmare. The good thing is, it's here now. So even if you sell a car and it comes, the car goes out and 3 days later there's a little niggle or light pings on, whatever, they just drive in, and the mechanics get a bit frustrated because obviously they're on other jobs and they quite often get pulled off things, and people come in for tyre pressures and yada yada yada. But yeah, I would never have a car sales business anywhere else or do anything else if I didn't have an attached workshop, because it does make a massive difference.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Yeah.
And the sort of stuff that you sell is I've had a look at the website, very similar to the sort of stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Is there a reason to why you stock the stuff that you do? Do you use any data, or is it gut feeling?
We sort of fell into it actually. When we first started, it was in the days where it was before eBay. It was like eBay back in the day, and Facebook was just starting out. And we used to sell really high mileage people carriers like Ford Galaxies and stuff like that. We did really well with to start with, and then we sort of dipped into the more lower mileage cars, and our clientele is quite elderly, shall we say, and we sort of fell into it and started selling low mileage cars, and they became lower and lower mileage, and that's what we've sort of stuck with really. We're car dealers, so obviously we inherently take risks, but I don't like massive headaches, so we tend to try and buy cars that aren't going to cause us too much of a headache. We're in a small town, and selling cars that are pretty reliable, pretty easy to work on, has its benefits because they don't go wrong, and therefore people come back, they bring them back for MOT and service, and then we sell them another one in 3 years' time, 4 years' time, whatever. So yeah, we fell into it, and we've tried a couple of different things along the way, and neither have worked particularly well. We tried to up the value of the stock at the start of this year, and went quiet. So we've gone back to selling the sort of sub 15 grand stuff, and we're busy. So yeah, just stick to what you know. I think you can always try and reinvent the wheel and try this and that and the other, and I don't think it's bad to try sometimes. But I'm quite try and be quite chilled out, and we know what we're doing with this, and I think it's like a comfortable pair of slippers. Really, you sort of know what you're doing. So
the issue I've found with low mileage stuff is that it's quite hard to price, because it's sort of it fires up the retail price of it on Auto Trader, and I just find buyers sort of want to have a newer model they don't really care about the miles. I mean, is that just what I think?
Yeah, and I think that's what majority of people think, and you're potentially right. I sort of think we've built our own little niche, I guess, because it's what we do. So if you go on the website, everything's done. We have got a couple of slightly higher mileage bits at the minute, but usually everything's done like 30, 40,000 maxed. Um, we're sort of known for it now, and we've been doing it so long that I think that's what people know, that we sell low mileage cars locally. So it sort of feeds itself. You're right with the price markers; it does obviously elevate them quite substantially, but in a way that helps me buy because we do go off the price markers, and I think if you're looking, especially on Auto Trader, if you are sort of looking price or mileage low to high, we're always going to be right there.
Mm.
So for those who are looking for low mileage, low owner examples, they probably already know that they're not going to be the cheapest cars in the world when they're looking.
Yeah, true. Where do you buy that stuff from? Where do you get to pick it up?
We're fortunate that we've met a lot of traders along the way. So through various trade to trade sites, but now we deal with them sort of regularly every week. They know the type of cars that we sell, so we get offered a lot. So I get WhatsApps throughout the day with this, that, and the other. And then we are buying a bit more from auction this year, which I'm not used to, but we're having to adapt. And auctions are not where I want to be buying really, but I think the stock out there is so limited that we've had to jump back in, and it has its headaches, of course. But yeah, it's I mean, getting stock's the hardest thing in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
It
no,
really is.
absolutely. I mean, we certainly find that, but we're probably not as picky when it comes to miles.
Yeah.
It's probably putting it lightly. What about what about the what about some of those cars that you sell? I mean, what is the sort of bread and butter that you do? What do you buy day in, day out?
I love a Honda Jazz.
I love it. I've got a nice one
I
for
love
spares and repairs.
I'm shocked it spares or repairs, James. You know, obviously having seen how rusty it is, I
Yeah,
can't believe that's what you've had to do with it.
yeah, we couldn't put our name to that car or a warranty on that car. Let's put it that way.
But yes, my customers are quite mature. I've had to be politically correct with this, but most of them have got a bus pass as well as a driving license. So anything that's slightly higher up off the ground, where they can get a small dog in the back, they are sort of the bread and butter type stock. Mostly petrol. Yeah, just Japanese, Asian, easy, reliable sort of. I mean, it's really boring for a podcast, actually.
Well, it's all James talks about all the time is Kia
Yeah,
Picanto.
absolutely.
So
Sorry, listeners.
But I get more excited about a Hyundai i10 automatic with 15,000 miles than if you offered me a BMW 340 whatever. I get more excited about something like that than anything else. So.
you're in the right place.
I've bid on two this week, funny enough.
Yeah, I bought one yesterday. Yeah, so it's that's what gets me excited, is having a very low mileage car with multiple stamps in the book.
Theo, I'm fascinated about the cars that dealers avoid with like a plague.
Yes.
I mean, what are the cars that you would definitely not buy?
Shall I say what I would buy? Controversially, I buy a lot of EcoBoosts.
Do you?
Yes, not afraid of them.
How many have gone bang on you, if
One.
any? Wow. Okay.
And I've probably sold, I don't know how many we've sold, 60, 70 probably.
Wow, that's not bad. That's not a bad run.
Yeah, and it's this year actually, which is a bit frustrating because we'd had a clean record up till now. But I suppose the ones we're selling have done, like I say, very low mileage, so you've got a chance. I'm actually
They're
waiting.
very popular, aren't they?
They are, and they drive really nicely.
Yeah.
You know, they perform it's a good car, the Fiesta or the Focus. I mean, they're really good cars, but obviously it scares people, which helps me buy them. We're quite happy to do the belts in-house, which is a bit of a subjective approach with the customer who's buying the car, because we ask for quite a substantial contribution, which can obviously seems to have been okay so far.
Oh, so you do the belts before sending them out?
If they're coming up to if they're sort of 16, 17 plates, they're coming up to their 10-year intervals. So we will do. We warrant the cars ourselves, so obviously, I don't want an engine going twang, so we'll ask for quite a sizable contribution, and explain the pros and cons of having the belt or not having the belt, and if they decide not to, then obviously, if it's not officially due under the Ford recommendation, then we sort of say, well, we're going to have to void it from the warranty if you decide not to. And it's worked so far, so I wouldn't be afraid of those. I don't like the PureTech
Mm.
PSA engine. I'm not a fan of that one at all, because I don't think it even performs very well, let alone be reliable. Other than that, not huge amounts. Automatic gearboxes. The Nissan CVT one is terrifying, and the PowerShift Ford one is. I won't touch those. Definitely won't touch those. So same as most people, to be honest.
Yeah.
But
Have you had any? I mean, you mentioned the EcoBoost going wrong there, but have you had any kind of horror warranty claims? I mean, what's been your worst?
worst warranty claim. You have those cars that it's always the ones where you think are going to be great, and you think, well, it's flown through the workshop, no problem at all, and it ends up being a boomerang car, and you can't. It goes and it comes back, and it goes and it comes back, and it goes and it comes back. It's always the cars you least expect. We're fortunate we don't get massive warranty claims. So I think we've had a couple of engines over the years and a couple of buybacks, but we really don't get too many big problems. But we're not doing the German stuff, which is just when we don't do JLR, obviously. So like I say, I like an easy life as much as you can do in the trade. So
I
try and stick to stuff that just I can go to sleep at night and not worry that I'm going to have 15 phone calls on a Monday morning for DPFs and this, that, and the other. So
welcome to my world.
There's too much other stuff. The car trade's hard enough dealing with customers without having the worry of cars coming back left, right, and centre. But I suppose you'll agree, James. On the flip side, the margins are much smaller on this type of vehicle. We have to turn over quite a few to make it pay.
Yeah. How many do you sell on a monthly basis?
About around 30.
Oh wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, we do get through them. And
what marketing channels do you use?
We use Auto Trader, which I've always been a big cheerleader of until more recently, and I've been quite vocal about on other podcasts about my thoughts about it at the moment.
Go on, tell us.
They just don't listen, do they? They just don't listen. There's things that the vast majority of dealers that I've spoken to, and I'm sure you've spoken to, James, have agreed on certain points that we don't like that they've removed or added, and it just doesn't seem that anything changes about that.
What bit do you think gets up there? What gets up dealers' noses the most?
Yeah, my nose, getting rid of the car logos has really annoyed me. Getting rid of our garage logos has annoyed me. We take our pictures in front of our signage, but for those who don't, I mean, surely there should be some differentiation between legitimate garages and people doing it on their driveways, and people will recognise them, especially locally. I mean, that badge, I put it everywhere. It's on a football club. It's everywhere. We try and keep it out there as much as possible. People know it. So if they're scrolling through cars, you want people to see your brand. So that's annoying. I don't think the deal builder is great, or the reserve feature then. I think that needs a lot of work. Obviously, the price that it's costing us to advertise is obviously the main elephant in the room. But we've just dropped our package, or we've lowered our package to a starter package, which I was informed would not work and it would be awful. But we've had our busiest few weeks of the year since we've done it. So whether that's just a coincidence or not, I don't know. I've always been a cheerleader, but I just think they're pushing the envelope a little bit too far. They're putting the prices up and they're giving us AI, which I know you're heavily into, obviously. Personally, I like to write our adverts.
Yeah, no, I still write our own adverts.
We're having to pay for that. That should be the sort of thing that should be an added option. If you want AI on your adverts and the car supermarkets want it, brilliant. But you should have to pay a premium for that if you want it. I don't think it should be lumped into the package for everybody. So there's just quite a few things really that have sort of annoyed me. But
funnily enough, we've got Auto Trader on the podcast next week. So
oh yeah,
what do you want me to ask them?
Or all of the above. Where's my
All of
bloody
the above.
logo?
Yeah, where's my bloody logo? Yeah.
Yeah.
And but does it work for you? You know, do you
Yeah.
like? I mean, we've been tracking our leads this year and like, our sales actually. You know, and where the lead came from, and by far and away, or I mean, as it stands, Auto Traders 27, I think it was when I looked at the board this week. Motors was 5, Cargoos was 5, CarWow was 1, our website was 5. So you know, Auto Traders like right up there. And yes, it costs a lot of money, but
Yeah.
it works for us. And I just sort of think, well, actually, if I do a cost per sale analysis of how much I've spent, they're pretty good value.
Yeah. The value's still there, otherwise I wouldn't be with them.
Yeah.
But I've noticed the actual number of leads have decreased over the last sort of 6-7 months quite substantially. However, the quality of the leads is still there. So when you do get the leads, they're usually fairly, especially now I've dropped a starter package, we're not coming up in any relevant searches. So the people that are searching, people that are clicking on our cars are probably genuinely looking for that type of car. So the leads that are coming through are quite positive. There's just not as many as there used to be. And yeah, so the value is still there because I'm still with them. We're selling a lot of cars locally this year, which is great. A lot of repeat customers. So you get into the point where you think, well, can I reduce it quite substantially? Because at the minute we've got all our cars advertised on there. But do we drop it a bit and try and save some money? And I don't know. We keep trying things. We tried motors for 12 months and it didn't work. We're with Car Gurus at the minute and it's not working. So I still think Auto Trader are at the top of the tree, aren't they? But they obviously charge 10 times more than anybody else. So
it's such a massive expense for dealerships, and like for us, we haven't got first we haven't got the history like someone like you have, which is obviously a lovely advantage to have.
Yeah.
And also we don't have a pitch where people can drive by it and just see cars with prices in the windows. So we rely heavily on these marketing channels, and as such, I've really dived into the detail of how much each sale is costing us because I want to know. And I just think the Auto Trader price for me personally is worth it for the data that we get because it drives what we buy.
Yeah,
Do you use it for that?
Yeah, I love the data. So that that is really, I do love the data. I'm not so for the actual ratings, the Auto Trader ratings. I don't go by so much.
You're not?
No, because I know what we sell, so and I know what works. Quite often, we'll get a Yaris in and it'll be like 8 out of 100. I know I'll sell that within a couple of weeks. Just know. So I don't go too by the ratings, but everything else I use quite strongly. So
yeah, we stick rigidly to those ratings, but then that's because I've got no experience, so it's the only thing sort of guiding me really.
Yeah.
How are you finding the market at the moment then?
We had a good start. January, February was good as always. It's always busy, and then we had a bit of a drop off. April, end of March, April, and then June and July so far have been absolutely brilliant. We had a fantastic June and then a really, really good start to July, way more than we were expecting. So I've got a lot of spaces, which isn't ideal, but it's a better problem to have than being quiet. I still just don't. I don't have the confidence. That's usually when you're busy, you're confident that it's just going to carry on and carry on. I don't know whether it's just the way that I'm hearing it on the grapevine. And some people are busy, some people are really, really quiet. I don't know if it's then getting into my head that, oh yeah, we're really busy this week, but is the tap suddenly going to just switch off next week? So I don't know if you're okay to go to reception. Yes.
The joys of doing a podcast where you've got customers coming in. Love
this
it.
lady comes to pick up a new car, but she's
brilliant.
Go somewhere else. We're really busy at the minute, but I just don't feel like my confidence is there that it's just going to continue on.
I do find that really hard in this car sales business is the not knowing, because you basically carry on doing what you're doing exactly the same way, and then one week you'll be absolutely gangbusters and sell those cars, and the next week it'll be completely dead. And I find that so frustrating.
It is, and especially for someone like me who's quite OCD and quite a little bit on the spectrum, I would imagine. I like to be. I like routine and I like consistency and all that sort of thing. So if someone said to me, well, you could sell 5 cars a week every week, you buy 5 cars a week every week, and that's how it would work, fantastic.
Yeah.
But we've sold 11 cars in 6 days, but if I sell nothing next week,
Yeah.
it all works out to be the same numbers at the end of the year, but it's so much like this.
I know.
It's hard to get your head around, but I don't think that ever changes. I don't think, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. When it does go very, very quiet and people are not panicking, but you see on the Facebook pages and on the WhatsApps and everything, people are starting to pull their hair out. They probably haven't been doing it particularly long. Obviously, after doing it for this amount of time, you sort of do realise that it will, if you keep doing the thing right, it will come around and it will work again. But
what part do you love about the job the most?
I love the buying.
Yeah.
I love the buying, but that is where I think that's where you're making your money. Essentially, basically, if you're buying it right, then that's where you're making your money. So I love buying, and I don't see so many customers anymore. My dad does most of the customer facing stuff because I'm too grumpy and miserable. So he does most of that kind of thing now. But all customers are different as well, and most of the people we deal with are very, very nice people, and that then is again why we sell the types of cars that we do, because most people are fairly relaxed and genuine, nice people who just want a car to get from A to B. So we don't get a lot of flash Harrys or whatever you want to call them. The people are very nice. But I just love it. I just love it all. I don't know anything else. That's the only thing. So I can't do anything else. That's it.
Yeah.
This is it.
Well, as long as you love it, that's important. Well, I appreciate you joining us today. Thank you very much. And thank you for sticking around while we do some stories. But John, we probably should do some. We'll be right back. Now, John, I'm really enjoying how easy it is to pay sellers on CarWow.
I mean, presume you'd rather not pay them at all.
No, that is true. But now I can do it with CarWow Wallet. You can pay sellers, finance houses, and more instantly, literally in one click. It's secure, easy to use, and gets rid of all the pesky finance back and forth. It's a total game changer, John.
That does sound pretty good.
If you want to find out more, dealers can log on to carwow.co.uk/partners/carwow-wallet. Now, back to the podcast.
So, as usual, James and I are going to run through our favourite stories of the week, and at the end, Theo gets to decide which one of us chose the best ones and who's the winner. Rebecca very kindly won in my place last week, I think. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to start with Citroen, who are, or more specifically their dealers, are having a very difficult time at the minute for lots of reasons, but one in particular is this enormous recall to do with airbags on the DS3 and the old C3 from 2009 or something like that, all the way through to 2016. So it's a big, broad range of cars, and they did sell quite a lot of those DS3s and some C3s as well over the years. But it's all come down to this stop drive thing. So, normally with a recall, you get a notice through the post from the DVSA that says your car is subject to a recall if it's really urgent. Or sometimes you don't even hear that. You just take your car in and they happen to tell you it's subject to a recall, and they fiddle about with it for half an hour and hand it back to you, and it's all good. But this is an enormous airbag recall for anyone that hasn't seen this news. And it's a hangover from the big Takata airbag nightmare of a few years ago, which effectively Takata was this Japanese company that made airbags and lots of things. And they discovered that they'd been manufacturing certain bits of it not terribly well. And in humid climate, don't laugh at me, James. I'm sure Takata's lawyers don't exist anymore because the company's defunct. But anyway, but effectively, these airbags degrade over time, or a certain bit, the inflator degrades in humid conditions, and then explodes and sends shards of metal into the occupants of the car when you have a minor incident. So, not ideal.
Not ideal.
And I mean, to be fair, I was amazed when this story came out, because I just thought, oh my god, it's 2017 again. Because I had a Subaru with an airbag recall like this.
Of course you did. Yeah, of course you did.
Well, I mean, my current Subaru may still have the recall, but because it's from Japan, I've got no idea. No one can email me about it. But in that instance, they said don't put anyone in the passenger seat because it was the passenger airbag, which is not quite so bad. But what Citroen have said to all their customers is do not drive these cars if you've not had the airbag replaced. So, of course, what's happened is 120,000 Citroen owners have phoned their local dealers, of which there aren't quite so many anymore. I don't know if anyone's noticed, and said, well, when can you replace my airbag? Because I'd quite like to drive it, to say work or other places. And the Citroen dealers are having to say to them, we can't fit you in until 2073, no, not 2073, but 2026, some dealers are saying, because they just haven't got the capacity to deal with this number of recalled cars. Apparently, the parts are available, say Citroen, but it's the bottleneck really to try and sort it out. So very difficult for customers, some of whom are now looking to take legal action because to be told you can't drive your car, and I think part of the problem is issuing a stop drive like this notice, which I think is quite rare. We've not really seen too many of
No, I
those.
don't think I've ever seen one before.
No, issuing that raises questions around car insurance and all sorts of things, and who's liable if you do drive it and get in an accident. And there have been there has been one particularly horrible crash in France that's killed the person driving their Citroen C3, which is why this has all happened. But very difficult for dealers as well, because I mean, you've had a few cars that have had recalls on, haven't you, James? But everything stops. I mean, it's a good job we don't have a DS3 at the minute because you'd be hanging on to it for the next 6 months by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, I did think this. I mean, that was very well summarised, John. I mean, it's like you can tell you've had a little holiday. Very good.
And a coffee.
And a coffee. Yeah, I wrote a couple of these stories this week. I did look into this one in detail, and I spoke to a few Citroen dealers. Just I was interested, like it's. I see it from the consumer's point of view. Yeah, it's horrendous not being able to drive your car, but also I do really, sort of, I feel for the people in the trade having to deal with this. It's like, so I spoke to one dealer who just said we couldn't even make outbound calls on the day after the letter went out. We were having that many phone calls from customers. I mean, they like literally, they said hundreds of phone calls with people just wanting to put their cars in. And you can imagine it takes time. It's an hour and a half it takes to do this. They were saying it's a horrible job to do. And it's like, especially in the hot weather, you're deep in the bowels of this Citroen, which is never a nice place to be. And it's they're having to sort this job out in very hot, sweaty conditions, and they're just doing it time after time after time. They're doing it in the mornings. They're working early morning shifts. They're working late shifts. They're doing weekends to just try and get through it, and yet still customers are being told they can't get their cars done until 2026. I think the situation is a very, very difficult one, and I can see why the consumer is unhappy, but I can also see why the dealers are. But there is like a slight glimmer of there's a slight nice part to the story, a slight bonus, I would say, and that's the fact that these dealers are going to get a lot of warranty money off the back of this, aren't they? They're getting paid to change every single one of these, so their after sales departments are probably going to have a nice, profitable year. But I'm sure they're stressing out trying to get all this sorted. But yeah, it's a horrendous story, and like we published it earlier this week, didn't we? And our inbox has been flooded with emails from customers, obviously consumers who have read that story and saying, I'm off the road and I can't drive my car until October. Some people, like you say, have been told their insurance is invalid. So you don't really think about all of that, do you? When it's a stop drive notice, you can't use your car. Then I think there were some instances where the customer services for Citroen were offering to pay for taxis, offering to pay for hire cars. I mean, this is going to cost Stellantis a lot of money.
Yeah, it's hard to feel sorry for Citroen in this instance because I mean I can only say what the lawyers slightly ambulance chasey solicitors are saying to us, which is that Citroen have known about the fault for a long time, and it's only as a result of this crash in France that they've issued this stop drive. And if they'd pulled their socks up and sorted it all out a bit earlier, then da 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 da. But I don't know if it's quite as clear cut as that because the intricacies of how recalls work in the UK. You're still trying to encourage the customers to come in and have their car fixed, and I don't know, it's very difficult. And I would imagine trying to work that through the legal department of what language can you use to suggest you really need to come in now and have your airbag replaced.
Yeah. I mean, I've just so I asked Logistics. I'm just reading an email here from Nona Bokis, who's the solicitor at Logistics, about this, and just said, like, can the car dealers who've got these on forecourt sell them, because there'd be hundreds of them, well, thousands of them out there. And she says any used car dealer with one of these vehicles to sell would be best advised to wait until the vehicle is fixed or sell it as an unroadworthy vehicle. So actually list it on the invoice as a spares or repairs unroadworthy vehicle sale. Says it's not an ideal situation and probably made worse by the fact Stellantis will likely prioritise consumer repair requests over trade requests. I mean, very, very difficult situation, isn't it?
Theo, you don't have any C3s or DS3s in stock?
I don't, but interestingly, I had a lady yesterday up in Scotland, which is a very, very, very long way from me, inquire on a Nissan Note that we had, and hers is one of the Citroen C3s, which is due for recall. Would we take it in part exchange? Could we deliver the Nissan Note to Scotland and bring the C3 back? We said yes, but we could only give you X amount for the C3, thinking, well, yes, we're going to have to keep it for months and months and months.
Yeah.
A local dealer in Scotland, wherever it may be, they have 660 to get through.
Really?
Yeah. So in the end, she called back at the end of yesterday. She's actually bought a brand new Citroen C3, or very nearly new C3, from that said garage, and they're going to come and swap it over. She needs to get around. She's in her 80s. She's by herself. You know, obviously she doesn't want to be hopping on the bus or whatever. So that's how she's forked out for a nearly new one that they've taken her old one back, and they'll have it in their compound for the next 150 years until they can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think
it's a crazy situation. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've never heard anything like it in the motor trade for a complete stock drive.
No,
it is going to be costing people fortunes. And
the funny thing is, I was going to say, the thing that we always used to say about recalls is that it brings customers back into your showroom, doesn't it? Who've brought, and gives you opportunity to sell them something new. But on a 2009 to 20, I mean, it's not really 2019. It's just there were a few hanging on. 2016 sort of car. I don't know. It's quite a sell to get them in a new C3. So they've done well there.
Well, no, are they going to trust? Are they going to trust that brand? Are they going to trust it again? That's another thing.
I wonder if there's any on motorway today. I might have a little look and see. See whether we
get distracted, James. Come on, do your story.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry. Right, what am I going to talk about? We've taken up a lot of time with that one, but it's quite a good story. That I am going to go with news. There's another Chinese brand heading our way.
Oh God!
More from China.
James, I had this as well, and then so I opened one story in one tab about a new Chinese brand, and then opened another story in another tab about a different new Chinese brand, and then I think I found a third as well.
Yeah. Which one this week? Which ones are you talking?
I'll let you go first. You go first.
Well, I'm going to talk about Chery.
Oh, yeah.
Chery. I don't know. I mean, how do we say this?
Chery? I think you might. I don't want to be some sort of clever person, but I think it might be something like Chery or something like that. It's not.
Oh my word! I mean, I'm definitely going to get it wrong. But yes, so this is the ultimate owner of Omoda and Jaecoo, and they've now decided, and we've already written a story about this year, haven't they? They're going to bring another one, wasn't it? Lee Pass. Lepers.
Yeah, lepers as I call it.
Yeah, lepers. They're already bringing lepers to the UK, and now they're going to
soon be a leper colony.
Now they're going to add Chery to the icing on the cake. But the reason I picked this story is I was scrolling through social media this week, and Victor Zhang, who is the head of Omoda and Jaecoo, had shared this graphic on his LinkedIn, which just sort of kind of stopped me in my tracks. Really, I was staggered by what the detail in it, and what it was the amount of time it took brands to reach a 2% market share in the UK. So it listed some of the big brands that you'd know, like Hyundai. So for Hyundai to reach 2% market share in the UK, it took them 27 years. I was like, well, that's an incredible. That's what it takes to build a new brand. Kia, 18 years. MG, 12 years. BYD, 2.5 years. Just under 2.5 years. And Omoda and Jaecoo, John, 9 months.
Good grief.
I mean, that is absolutely staggering, isn't it? It just sort of shows you how much of a trajectory, upwards trajectory, these guys are on. I mean, it was a staggering one for me. And then it was followed up a day later with the news that they're bringing this second brand to the UK with, believe it or not, John, 2 more Chinese SUVs. I mean, I know.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, you are shocked. Yeah, but yeah, it made me look into this as I was looking into. I wrote about it in my Substack this week, and I looked into the sales figures for June. Omoda and Jaecoo, to get that 2% combined, sold 3,777 cars in June, which was more than Honda, Seat, Suzuki, Dacia, Citroen, Fiat, Lexus, Mazda, and Mini, not combined, but all of those individual brands, very established brands in the UK. Those two, that within 9 months of arriving in the UK, managed to sell more than them.
It's a changing of the guard.
It really is, isn't it? I mean, have you had a look, Theo, at these Omoda and Jaecoo?
Honestly, being in Ross on Wye is like being in 1973 still. So the chance of seeing an Omoda or a BYD around here at the moment are very slim. But when I have seen them, I'll be honest, I haven't got a clue what I'm looking at. Not a clue.
SUV.
But I am seeing them, when I'm out and about on my travels and stuff, and they do seem to be becoming quite prominent. So I can imagine that's going to be the way it's going to go, isn't it? Obviously, they might, if they bring out too many different brands, it's going to get very confusing. And I guess all the cars are going to be pretty much the same underneath, just with this different badge and a bit of a different whatever. But it looks like it's going to be hard for these well-established dealers or well-established manufacturers to keep up, or they're going to have to change their tact, possibly.
I really think you're right. I think I think the thing that surprises me is just quite how fast this is happening. It is, it is rapid changes.
Have you got any thoughts about why?
Well, I think a few thoughts. I think they offer very competitive prices. You can buy one of these new SUVs for £250 a month, and they are backed by a long warranty, a lot of them, and actually they look pretty cool, and the tech's quite good, and that's all SUV buyers care about. I mean, they don't care about the brand whatsoever. They just care about what it's going to cost them and is it going to be reliable. So I think that they've absolutely caught the imagination of car buyers with just a very, very good, affordable product at the right time.
I think I quite often think, because I'm a petrol head and most of us in the trade love our cars, they just sort of passed me, but I didn't even,
Yeah.
But whereas the vast majority of the public, which is who we should be thinking about, I guess, like you say, they just want something that's going to be functional.
Yeah. I mean, just often, running the Clever Car Collection, often I find it amazing how some customer will turn up and say, oh, I'm here to see the Tiguan or whatever it is I'm selling. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, no, it's not quite right. And then look at something completely different and end up buying something completely different. And you think, well, hang on a minute. Then it obviously wasn't the Volkswagen brand or that car that you were specifically interested in. You were just interested in a vehicle.
Just had some bits that suited them.
I think there's so many buyers out there that just want a nice car and they don't care who makes it.
Do you think it's a bit of a shame for not the car buying public, but for us as motor tradey people, that they're all going to become these homogenized bloody...
Wow. I mean, we are car people, aren't we? And we love cars, but I sort of think there will be a lot of people out there we can still sell the stuff that we want to sell stuff to.
I hope so.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm surprised also that the rise of these Chinese brands and the fact that nothing's been done to curtail them. I am surprised that we're letting this happen in some respects, and I'm all for an open and free market and the fact that buyers can choose what they want. And I don't really like tariffs, but I am surprised that. I mean, they're running rampant, aren't they?
Shall I segue us into another?
Go on.
A different brand. So our man on the ground, Jack Evans, has been at Goodwood Festival of Speed. Well, basically half our team is at Goodwood Festival of Speed for some reason. I mean, I'd rather be here sat in front of a fan, to be brutally honest with you.
They're on a jolly up.
Yeah, they are.
Pretty much. But he has done some work while he's there, which is nice of him. And he's been chatting away to BYD's UK boss, Bono G. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Bono. Country manager of BYD UK passenger cars, not buses, because they also make those. But Jack spoke to Bono at Goodwood, about launching a new brand, James. They've just, just get BYD established, bring in another one, just like Omoda and Chery are doing. But they were quite open-minded, not quite open-minded, they were quite open with how they've managed to, strike gold with BYD here in the UK so far. And Bono reckons basically UK customers are really open-minded. And he says there's not a lot of OEM in the UK, so it's like an open market. And then people here really like technology, so we introduce a lot of technology. I mean, it's a pretty simple formula, isn't it, really? Also credited the ZEV mandate, although they called it a really clear time frame, which I'm not quite sure I would say the same. But, it's mad that the brands just keep on coming, and I don't understand it. I think at a certain point, I mean, I can sit here and say we don't need three brands from Chery in the UK, really. When I would say, even from my point of view, it's hard to say what Omoda versus Jaecoo does, let alone bringing in Chery as well. You don't need all of those. And of course, we had the news. Was it last week? Geely are arriving separately to all their other
Of
brands,
course, yeah.
Volvo
Obviously.
and so on. So there's a lot going on. But BYD are bringing over Denza, which is much more posh, I think. And I think that might have been co-developed with Mercedes once upon a time, and Mercedes have pulled out of the arrangement, I think. But the way that, like, hearing you talk a minute ago, the thing this reminds me of is like, bear with me here, the late 80s and early 90s in Japan. Japan went absolutely mad with brands. So let's take Mazda, for example. Mazda is one brand at the minute. In the late 80s, early 90s, they decided to launch about 4 different brands. So you had like Unos, which you see on MX-5s, don't you? You had Effini or something like that. You had Autozam. And then I think and there might have been another one. I'm not entirely sure, but they were all so confused and so like trying to corner different bits of the market all at once that it all just collapsed and they gave up and went with Mazda again. And I think the same thing is going to happen with all of these. It's like a scattergun approach. They're just going to go, oh, maybe we'll see if Denza works here. We'll see if Chery works here, and so on and so forth. And then whatever's left standing will be left standing.
I guess I think it would no disrespect. Well, excuse, but if you throw enough shit, some of it will stick, won't it?
Pretty much. Pretty much. Beautifully put.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. None of us.
But yes, so we look forward in the next year to see which bit of excrement is attaching itself
There you go.
to the UK market. But if you're a dealer, like looking at taking on one of these franchises, who on earth do you back at the minute? And I'm sure, like say you go, oh yeah, I'll have an Omoda franchise, and actually Chery becomes the big one. I'm sure you can sort of swap between them eventually, but you've still got to pay for all the signage and all that stuff, haven't you? It's quite hard to. I don't know. I'd feel really.
It's hard to work out who to back, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
So I'm pretty sure one of the dealers we've talked about in the past said it was like the Grand National trying to work out which horse to back. Yeah. But it's true though, isn't it?
Someone will come out on top. Someone will win.
Yeah.
I'm just going to briefly, before I hand it over to you, James, I'm just going to bang my drum for small local dealers again, which I do every now and again. Because all the big OEMs are moving away from having a dealership 5 miles from your house, and they all say, oh no, it's actually a lovely experience to drive 30 miles away to go to some enormous place where there's no parking. But I disagree, and I think that is why Omoda and Jaecoo particularly have managed to expand so quickly, because they have really focused on taking up all the spots that were being vacated by Ford and Nissan and whoever locally. So I reckon the UK will be carpeted soon in local Chinese car companies and not much else.
Jaecoo have taken on our local Ford dealer, which has been there since 1980, whatever.
Wow.
And they're in there now, so they've got a captive audience.
Same for me with my local Nissan dealer. They've taken that on. Yeah. And then BYD have also taken over something that, for the 5 years I've lived where I live, has been a used car dealer. So they've got presence suddenly with a new brand, which is lovely for them.
Yeah.
But that seems to be the strategy, and I think it's working. Good
Um,
news story, James. Before we run out.
Well, I mean, I'm going to sort of continue our Chinese loving.
Oh God.
Well, it's just with just news from dealer group Waylands that they've extended their brand portfolio after buying 2 sites from HSH Motor Group. So this is John O'Hanlon's business. He has snapped up a Honda, Omoda, and Jaecoo franchises in Bristol and Cardiff, extending Wayland's reach across the M4 corridor. This story says. John O'Hanlon said that the move strengthens the relationships with these 2 innovative brands offering hybrid and electric vehicles, and it brings with them 74 new staff members as part of that acquisition to the Waylands business. But what I love about this, and I know we've talked recently about John O'Hanlon's business because he was. Recently released his results, which were very positive for last year. But yeah, I've got huge admiration for him and his business, and I love the fact that he's built a fantastic business before with Ridgeway, sold it to Marshalls, and decided, no, I'm not going to go and sit on a beach. I'm going to do that all over again. And it's just a fascinating story to follow, and one that, yeah, just I find quite inspiring, actually, if I'm honest. So yeah, fair play to John. He's not having a summer holiday. He's just busy sorting this integration of his new acquisition into his wider business. Well, maybe somebody's doing it for him. But yeah, nice to see John.
Lovely. I'm desperately trying to find another story now because it's.
I mean, it's a little bit thin on the ground this week.
Well, we asked the other day, is it silly season yet? And maybe. Shall I talk briefly about some cars from Goodwood? Back to Goodwood again.
You can, yeah, sure.
Honda Super EV concept has appeared, which I'm very excited about, which is the tiny Japanese electric thing. James, you won't be remotely interested in it, but I think that's
got you
piques
written
my
all over
interest, James, because the wheels that it's on are those, like, I don't know what they're called. They're like famous Japanese racing wheels, which would suggest that perhaps it's got a little bit of poke. So we'll see. Maybe it's a nice hot hatch coming from Honda. But I also like the Ioniq 6N from Hyundai.
Do you?
You were a big fan. Yeah, you were a big fan of the 5, weren't you?
Yeah, but the 6 just is so ugly.
Okay, I mean, I'll say it's not translated quite so well to the N treatment, but anyway. A couple of new Jaekoos. What else is there?
It's the new Jaguar, John.
There is the new Jaguar that you've already seen. I know what I was going to talk about, and I'm sorry, it's another new brand from China.
I mean,
I should be making notes throughout this, so I haven't got a clue.
Well, it's MG are launching a new sub-brand.
Are
This is
they?
why I was going to talk about this story, yes. And it's confusingly called the IM. So you're going to have the MG IM5 and IM6, not to be confused with International Motors, who bring in other Chinese cars. But we'll be shocked to hear it will bring a range of electric vehicles, James, to rival the likes of the Tesla Model 3.
Are they SUVs?
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
It
Wow.
looks like a saloon, which means they'll probably sell about 3, and then that'll be the end of it.
Yeah. Wow. You can go and see those at Goodwood this weekend if you've got a ticket.
Yes, you can. Or on our website for free.
Yeah. John, I'm not going to squeeze any more juice out of the stories on our website because that orange is dry.
Yeah. So, Theo, before I ask you for who you think's won, are there any stories you think we should have covered this week?
Well, the Citroen one was the big one, which is obviously the one that I will probably. Well, I'm jumping the gun here, but that's the story of the week for me. I think it's massive. It's going to affect a lot of people. I'm not really interested in the Chinese electric cars, although I probably should be. But most of the 4 of the 5 stories or whatever were about those.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yes, unfortunately.
The Chinese car podcast.
Left me with a limited choice. But yes, I would. It's massive news, isn't it? And it's going to affect an awful lot of consumers. It's going to affect. I mean, you do feel sorry for the staff. They're going to be tearing their hair out in the big ships, aren't they? And I guess what happens with the cars that they're still trying to run a service centre, aren't they? They've
still got to do their normal job, haven't they?
Their normal everyday job. So
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to be able to. If you need a clutch to them, what are they going to say? Well, sorry, if it's June 2029 that we can do it. I mean, how are you going to? How it's going to be a massive juggling act, which I'm not sure they're going to. So it's going to be like juggling 400 balls at a time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to affect an awful lot of people, and it'd be interesting to see the outcome further down the line as to, like you say, if people are taking some legal action. And what if you have to drive the car to the dealership, you have a crash, and the airbag explodes in your face?
Well, people have been driving it there, yeah. They go
So,
to
just
Waylands.
ran
But,
and
you know,
turn up.
like how much does it cost to get a low loader to come and take your car
yeah,
there?
and
That's
if
Citroen
people
going to pay
do
for it.
refuse to drive them, a Citroen picking them up, or it's a massive logistical
Yeah,
pile of
huge,
over.
huge headache for dealers out there and the consumers involved. I feel for all of them, if I'm honest.
Do you think there's going to be? Is this going to open another can of worms for more? Are there going to be all of a sudden lots of other recalls for lots of other things from lots of other companies? Or
Well, supposedly, like airbags are quite a common. I say airbags are a common part, but probably this particular airbag or the design of it is probably in lots and lots of cars. It's just that there hasn't been a recall on it, or very similar ones. You know, I mean, it's the same principle as it was Honda, the first enormous recall in America with Takata airbags, doing exactly the same thing. So it wouldn't surprise me. It just surprises me it's taken this long to happen.
it's going to rumble on and on and on, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, quite
yeah,
possibly.
it certainly
Oh,
will.
well, I will take that win if you're offering it to me.
Yes, you can have that one.
Almost by default, because all the other stories were quite dull, but thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry. Enjoy the podcast.
Please enjoy
Yeah.
the podcast. Yeah.
Welcome to summer, where no news is happening. Lovely. All right. Well, all that's left for me to say then is thank you to Theo for coming on and chatting to us about your business. Lovely to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
And
thank you. Nice to
hope
see
you
you.
don't end up with any Citroen C3s traded in.
I'm sure you're doing them a good deal if they do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you as well to James. And James, you didn't mention your story I thought you were going to mention this week, which is about your Peugeot 208, but maybe you're feeling a bit.
I'm slightly burned about that. But let's go and pick it up this afternoon, John, and see how bad it is, and maybe talk about it next week.
Very good. Tune in next week to hear about a broken Peugeot, possibly.
Oh,
If you want to check out the stories we mentioned today, take a look in the show notes below or head to cardealermagazine.co.uk. And we also haven't mentioned Car Dealer Podcast Live, James, which we should mention, but the
Slap
link
on the
is
wrist.
in the show notes below, and you can use the code PICANTO to take some money off the tickets. We'll be back next week with more of this nonsense. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.